Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Focus Atlanta. I am your host, Keisha Lancelin. Thanks so much for tuning in with us this morning. In our first interview, we're going to talk a little bit about one of the organizations that benefit from the AIDS Walk. It is Aid Atlanta, and I'm back with Nicole Roebuck. Thank you for coming back on the show. Let's start at the beginning for those who've been living under a rock. Give us a little history, a little background on Aid Atlanta.
Absolutely. So, Aid Atlanta, we're a HIV organization, and we have been in Atlanta for 43 years now, providing comprehensive HIV, STI, sexual health care services, prevention, treatment, care coordination, and that's everything from case management. We have a housing program providing essential support services such as housing and food, some basic necessities, transportation for those who might be in need.
When we think about organizations like Aid Atlanta, it's so important that we talk about the history because we've come a really long way. However, statistically, we still have a long way to go.
Yes, yes, that's absolutely right. Unfortunately, Atlanta as a city stays in the top five cities in terms of HIV incidents. Georgia is technically still number one in terms of HIV incidents. And even though Washington, D.C. actually is the highest, D.C. is technically not a state. So Georgia, kind of takes that number one spot, unfortunately. Unfortunately, the South as a whole, the Southern region, really sees a lot of disparity when it comes to not only HIV disease, but lots of diseases across the board. And our community, unfortunately, is disparately impacted by the HIV epidemic.
Absolutely. When we think about what we can do, so often people feel helpless, right? They feel like, oh, I don't really have a fight. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't know what I can do. But education is a huge part of what you all do in terms of helping the entire community, not just those, living with HIV and AIDS, but all of us benefit from your education, from your outreach. Like each and every one of us have been touched by the work that you do.
Absolutely. And that's, of course, because we believe that if everyone is educated about HIV and the risks, they can make a different decision in terms of their behavior. So one of the best ways to do that is start with getting an HIV test. At Atlanta, we provide free HIV testing to the community. Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 6 p.m. You can come right in. There's no appointments, and you can start there in terms of knowing your status. When we find that when people are aware of their HIV status, they can make informed, better decisions, about their sexual health. So you're absolutely right. Education is still important. Outreach, in the community is still important. People still need to know that this is still a critical issue in our community, particularly amongst people of color.
Also, can we just touch a little bit on? I think there's still a lot of stigma that women don't have to worry as much as men. There's still a lot of miseducation, and for especially again to your point here in Atlanta, women are some of the highest numbers.
You're
Can
right.
we talk a little bit about your education outreach to try to get people to recognize that this is everybody's disease?
Absolutely. Let me give you a stat, a very disturbing stat, which is in Georgia, women actually have 14 times greater risk than any other race or ethnicity for contracting HIV in the state of Georgia. 14 times more risk. So it is definitely not something that we should be sleeping on in the state of Georgia or in Atlanta, where the incidence is actually the greatest. So we actually have a program called Sisters with a Voice. It is specifically targeted to women, and we use that program as a platform to engage women in not only looking at their health care, but also looking at their sexual health behaviors, being more safe, um, being empowered to have conversations with their partners about sex and negotiation of condom usage. And so lots of times women may be thinking about, I don't want to get pregnant, but there also should be a conversation about, I also want to protect myself from STDs, STIs, HIV, hepatitis, all of those things that could be sexually transmitted. So we have that program to teach, to educate, and also to empower, to let people know that this is the norm. Everybody should be talking about this, and we shouldn't feel, ashamed or that this is some taboo topic. And we do know how HIV stigma can really cripple folks and the way they operate. And we just try to break down those barriers, down those stigma barriers and help people to be more open about their health, including their sexual health, their mental health, all of those things go hand in hand.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this information. I adore seeing you every year, but
Thank
one
you.
day I want to see you while we're talking about the decline of the numbers here in Atlanta. But
Absolutely.
until then, let's just keep getting the word out. It was good to talk
Yes.
to you.
Thank you so much for doing this on our behalf.
Absolutely. All right, guys, it is the AIDS Walk. It is coming up, and Aid Atlanta is one of many organizations that will benefit. Please take the opportunity to go to the website, sign your team up to walk with Aid Atlanta, and stay tuned to More Focus Atlanta. We'll be right back.